Hey everyone. So happy to have you here. My name is Emily Olehausen, and I specialize in supporting high achieving women who are successful on paper, but quietly are just feeling like they're drowning in the responsibilities of life, that they're unfulfilled, they're overwhelmed, they have a scattered mind, a cluttered mind, and are feeling just way too stretched thin. I have a deep core belief that we as women get to have it all. We get to have the career success and we get to have the personal life success that we have always dreamt of. I believe that given the right tools, we can achieve that. But there is a gap. There's a gap between where we are in today and how we can get to the things that we truly desire. And it just takes getting the right tools in your toolkit. So I'm so happy to have you here today. I'm going to recap all 3 nights, the 3 hours I spent coaching, in hopefully the quickest video today. So what I want to do is first, I want to introduce you to the 4-step balance cycle system that I created. And this is really the core of my program. These 4 steps I always go back to, and you'll see them, and I'll share each one in a quick summary. But really, it's what I consider the spine of my program. And then what we get to do within my program is have the accountability, the support for your specific situation and what is realistic to you, right? So what you're dealing with is going to be different than what somebody, your neighbor's dealing with, right? There's a lot of nuances in our lives, a lot of things that, our thoughts, our brains are all programmed differently, but that doesn't mean that we're forever stuck, right? It's just how do we approach this in a way that's perfect for you? And so I like to have the spine of my program and then say that everything else is support and accountability. And that's how we make such a huge transformation in such a short amount of time. So, first step in my 4-step balance cycle system is simplify. Simplify is really this idea of how can we make things more simple, but I want to be more specific. So, really, over 96% of our decisions are made and driven by autopilot, which is so great because we don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to think about how to drive a car. We don't have to think about, things like how to brush our teeth. Like we get to put that on autopilot, which is so fantastic, right? But it's not amazing when you get stuck into habits that drain you. When our autopilot decisions ultimately lead us into habits that don't support the dream and life that we want. When we are feeling exhausted because we are choosing to do the same thing over and over again, whether we are aware of it or we're not. And so we tend to think so big when we go and we want to change our life. We want to change how we're feeling. And that's where simplify comes in. It's not, hey, I'll work out every day for an hour starting on Monday. It's, hey, let me go to the gym twice a week for 15 minutes, or let me go on 4 walks a week and see how that feels. Really simplify that thought into a way that fits into your life. Okay? Because every time you take a break or you break a commitment to yourself, even a mental one, your confidence drops, right? So what I'm talking about truly is every time you say, hey, I'm going to start the gym on Monday, and then you don't, you're breaking that confidence within yourself, that self-trust. And the self-trust really, it's foundational for making quick decisions, having clarity, not second guessing yourself, not being stuck in limbo. So this is so important. It's a piece that most people oversee because they think, oh, it's just missing the gym. Oh, it's just, picking up my phone after I said I wouldn't. Oh, it's just one email after work is done. Those micro breaks and promises to ourselves really, really set the tone for how we're living our daily life. So the simplify step is really all about micro actions. How can I simplify what I want to do into a way that's really accessible for me? Step number 2 is boundaries. And so when I talk about boundaries, I like to create this image of you being in a bowling alley and you're looking at the bowling lane and you have the bumpers up, right? When you have the bumpers up, you're much less likely to go into the gutter. And when you have your bumpers down, you're more likely to go into the gutter. Think of boundaries as your bumpers. When you create small boundaries, what's so beautiful about boundaries is that some of them can be fully internal, right? They can just be decided from within and nobody even has to know. Just even stepping back in your mind's eye out of a situation can create a small boundary for you to stay safe. So when you create those boundaries, you have your bumpers up. And so you're less likely to go into the gutter within your life. I want you to think that these bumpers are keeping you safe. They're keeping you safe within your life, within the life that you have dreamt about and that you deserve. And so how do we create a boundary? First, we have to become aware of where we are compromising on ourselves. So things like saying yes when we don't really want to say something, or when we really don't want to say yes, or agreeing to do something that's outside of our capacity, right? Like you might want to do something, but you just don't have the capacity for it. You may want to volunteer at the school, but you might not have capacity. And so it's really checking yourself on both of those two things that are like a quick 30-second check-in before you decide on something. So the question is, do I really want to do this? Do I actually want to do this? And number two, do I have the capacity to do this? Okay. And I know that sometimes, for example, I had a client tell me that, sometimes at work, she doesn't want to do it and she doesn't feel like she has the capacity, but she has to work, right? And I am fully there and I can hear what you're saying with this. But what I want you to see here is the intentionality behind it. Watch how different this is. When we feel like, oh, I have to go to work. I feel so exhausted. I'm so tired. Versus I get to go to work. I know that everything will work out in my favor. I'm choosing intentionally to do the job that I have and know that I'm choosing it. See, like just feeling the awareness and intentionality behind it helps us even quiet that mental noise of like, should I be doing something else? Does this really matter? Okay, I need to do this after. Like all these things like keeping us in this state of heightened stress. So if we can just step into a place where we are intentional, and this comes back to getting off of autopilot, intentionally choosing what we're doing, where we spend our time and our energy outside of work, in work, then we are fully stepping into our power. Let's talk step 3. Step 3 is reframe. And this is really mindset and thought work. This is something that when you get into practice, when you become better at controlling your mind and controlling your thoughts, you really unlock a huge potential of peace. You get to tap into your inner peace that nobody else can even inhibit, right? And so thought work is so much about challenging the thoughts and beliefs that you have. For example, the thought, and I've heard this many times, the thought of if I slow down, everything will fall apart. Okay, first of all, when we get into a place where we can become aware that this is a thought that's happening, right? So much of thought work is being able to slow down and recognize, like, what is this thought that's coming to me? What is making me feel this way? What does it make me feel like I'm suffocating and drowning in responsibilities because I have so much to do today? I can't possibly listen to this. I can't possibly do this, right? And so this thought might come up. If I slow down, everything's going to fall apart. I can't possibly do this today. And feel how heavy that sits with us because we have decided that we're not going to challenge that thought. We're going to let it live. We're going to give it air and oxygen to bloom and grow within our minds. And what ends up happening is those feelings that happen in our body when we think that are going to compound, right? And so the thought of that you're having to hold it all together all the time is really heavy. And then it also activates our stress levels. And then we're in a heightened state of stress. And when we get into a heightened state of stress, we go into flight, fight, or fawn. We are not able to make clear decisions, quick decisions. We are looking for external validation. We don't know how to ask ourselves things like, should I do this or should I do that? We don't have a clear route. And so if we take it all the way back into just stopping that thought, into thinking in your mind's eye, seeing this thought, okay, do I want to keep this thought today? If I slow down, everything will fall apart. What do I want to do that? Do I want to keep it? Do I want to shift it? Or do I want to release it? Okay, let's see how this feels. Okay. If I slow down, everything will fall apart. I release that thought. I release it. And maybe it feels supportive for you to have a new thought. Okay, we can shift it as well. An example of that might be, when I slow down, I come back stronger with more clarity on what to do next. Ooh, that feels good, right? I just want you to notice the ability to choose here. And how to handle it after that takes some practice. It's going to take practice. You're not going to get this overnight. It is a pretty ninja Jedi skill, okay? But I want you to practice. Do you want to keep it, shift it, or release it? Step number 4 is my restore step, which is really what I like to call my power pause. And so when we are going back to the nervous system, when we're in that heightened state of stress, a power pause is so important. Because if we can just pause for even 30 seconds before we either decide something, before we move forward, before we transition, right? If we're going from work to partnership or to motherhood, whatever it is, if we can just take a pause, even if it's 60 seconds of deep breathing, just choosing that power pause to come back to realigns you, okay? And your nervous system has to feel safe in order to start believing the new thoughts you have, right? And so this is why this is a cycle. This all naturally goes to the next step, right? When we feel safe and we can believe our new thoughts of, hey, when I rest, I come back stronger and with clarity. And then you actually sit with that. You're like, that's a really good thought. And then, that's within the power pause. And then the next step is naturally, what's a micro action here? Okay, well, my micro action is going to be taking 10 minutes completely unplugged before I go from entrepreneur to motherhood. Just as simple as that. It's all within intention and awareness. Okay? So you can sit outside while you eat lunch, take a pause. Before you answer a text, take a pause. Before you say yes to something, ask yourself, is it in my capacity? Does it keep me safe within the boundaries I've created in my life? That is the power pause. That's, again, where you get to step fully into your power. And so what I want to do today is just remind you that I have a 12-week total transformation program where we practice each of these steps, and I also hold you accountable and ask you, hey, what was the holdup here? What was the obstacle here? So you can create the world and life that you've been dreaming of, right? So imagine knowing exactly what your next step is. You and I create that together. Making decisions easily. No longer, admiring somebody next to you who's like, wow, how are they making those choices so easily, those decisions so easily without asking for external validation, right? And also ending each day proud of yourself on how you showed up and feeling that you're deeply connected to yourself, but also your family while having a successful career. And at the bottom the bottom line of this all is that we get to rebuild your trust within yourself again. And that core belief, that core feeling of trusting yourself trickles into every single thing in your life. Believe me, it all comes back to trusting yourself and having that confidence. And so I want to invite you today, if you enjoyed this video, I want to invite you to go ahead and make it a 20-minute clarity call appointment with me. This is 20 minutes where I get to ask you questions and we create that first step, that micro action together. We look for those gaps that you're experiencing and we put something in action. This is a solution-based call. 20 minutes, you'll have a solution and you'll know where to go next. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you, and I'm so grateful that you stayed and checked out this whole video, and I can't wait till our next masterclass. I'll talk to you soon.